سلام، ممنون که دعوت ما رو قبول کردین. میخوام که ابتدا خودتون رو برای مخاطبین نوجوان و جوان ما معرفی کنید.
Okay, sure. My name is Daizy Gedeon. I'm an award-winning filmmaker and journalist. I've been in the field of media for more than 40 years. I've covered the Middle East and global affairs, and my expertise really is in Lebanon and the Middle East. I am of Lebanese background, and currently I am living in Lebanon, although today I am in America to do some interviews with the Palestinian Mission at the United Nations.
متشکرم. میخواستم ازتون بپرسم که چه اقداماتی در راستای فلسطین انجام دادین. اول اون رو برای ما توضیح بدین.
Since the war in Gaza began on October 7th, I've been very engaged in the topic because it's such a global issue. This is not about just the Palestinians, although their problem is our problem and has been going on for more than 70 years. And I felt compelled to begin working and exposing the situation because I believe in truth and justice. These are the values that I work on, and I cover stories that relate to truth and justice. And everything that is happening to the Palestinians defies truth and justice. So I began posting stories on all my social media and reviewing, curating stories from around the world, including political and social commentary on the situation in Gaza, and becoming a platform for their voice to be heard around the world. So the most important thing that has changed the situation for the Palestinians is what we are doing on social media, because we all know that the Western mainstream media, whom I worked for many years, I worked for the news group for Rupert Murdoch in Australia, in London, and around the world. I worked for Channel 4 in London. I worked for the Times Group in London. And all of these institutions, as well as everything else, you know, the CNN and all of those organizations are very propagandized towards Israel and American policy. And the difference that we have made on social media by spreading the word and making sure that we put it in English and Arabic, because all of my work has Arabic subtitles or English subtitles, is to ensure that the message is transferred around the world, disseminated to people. And we have seen tremendous uprising among, all groups of people, all ages, white people, black people, colored people, everyone rising for Palestine.
خانم گدین، من میدونم که شما سالهاست در راستای فلسطین و مردم فلسطین دارین اقداماتی رو انجام میدین. چگونه و چه زمانی این کار رو شروع کردین؟
Really, I have been pro-Palestinian since the 90s, when I first became interested and in working in the field of media as a journalist on the Middle East. I became awakened to the problem in the Middle East, and the problem in the Middle East, because I'm Lebanese, grew up in Australia, and we had very one-sided news about Lebanon. I didn't like Lebanon from when I was a child because everything was very negative. Then when I went to Lebanon in the 90s, late 80s, I discovered that the story they were telling us around the world was not correct. And I became very interested in finding out about the whole problem in the Middle East. And I discovered how bad the problem of the Palestinians was too. And I started, as I was an editor on the Australian newspaper, I started to cover stories more in-depthly about Lebanon and Palestine and the Palestinian problem and the Middle East issues to provide a voice and a platform that it was more accurate about the situation and the people of the Middle East, all of the Middle East, the Iranians, it's very hard sometimes to get into deep too much on all countries. You have to specialize, but it made me wake up to all of the Western media's commentary on all countries from the Middle East and the way they were presenting those stories. So I became very passionate about the rights of the Palestinian, and I always believed that the peace in the world stability in the world will never be achieved until the Palestinian problem is solved, until the Palestinians have a homeland and have their rights. And so this has been inside me for, for nearly 40 years. And I do whatever I can now. I diverted all of my attention to the Palestinian cause because this is a humanity cause.
ممنون. خانم گدین، میخواستم ازتون بپرسم که آرزوی شما برای سال 2040 چیه؟
2040? My dream for Palestine, my dream is to be able to visit Palestine way before 2040. My dream is that it is rebuilt, revived and restored, and the Palestinian people live with integrity and with dignity, in freedom with all of their rights, and they are able to operate and run their own government, and the people live freely and humbly as they are, because they are one of the most humble people in the world, and their faith in God is unshakable, unbreakable, and God will protect them. So my vision for them is to fulfill the mission of their right to independence, and that they are established and a member of the international community with all of their rights in the United Nations. And we are all traveling and visiting them and supporting them and sharing in their wonderful culture and faith.
به عنوان سوال آخر میخواستم ازتون یه درخواستی داشته باشم. برنامه ما مخاطبینش نوجوان و جوانن. برای مخاطبین نوجوان و جوان برنامه 2040 چه پیامی دارید؟ چی کار میتونن برای فلسطین انجام بدن؟
Look, I love the youth. The youth, I have a lot of followers who are youth, and I love the youth. I have 3 children. They're now 19 to 24 years old. And I encourage them, like I encourage your youth, to always believe in your values. This has to be your foundation. If you do not have strong values, you will easily be manipulated. So understand what it is that is important to you and why it is important to you, and build your life upon this. But remember, you are a human being that God created with a mission to serve God and serve humanity, and to do this with dignity. So understand yourself first, and always stand up for your rights with dignity, in a peaceful way, and do it intelligently. We don't have to resort to violence. We don't have to resort to anger. We have to understand the other person who might be different to us, who might have a different opinion. If we can't see them and see why they have this opinion, it's very hard then to convince them of our opinion. So first we must see the other, and then we must understand how to talk to them in a way that will make them understand our viewpoint. Always stand in someone else's shoes. As a journalist, it's my responsibility, and it is very effective to be able to do that, because then you can ask better questions and you will get more from the person you are interviewing, and you will be able to convince them more if you are having a disagreement or debate about something. But just understand that they have a different way, and they and you need to cooperate. This is the way of the world. I tell my children this story. No one finger is the same. And God, He make us all different, but the same. We need each other. We are human beings, and we need to work together with love, with integrity, and with respect. That's my message.
ممنون که دعوت ما رو قبول کردین.
Thank you. Bye.